Diego Maradona was the undisputed star of the 1986 World Cup Championships in Mexico. The little Argentinian dominated the tournament with his brilliant ball skills and scoring feats, as he demonstrates here, taking on the England defense from midfield and scoring a magnificent goal. Unfortunately, such skills are relatively rare in the modern game, which has been increasingly dominated by tactics where running and tackling are highly prized and individual ball skills are often regarded as luxuries rather than necessities. In the late 1970s, Dutch coach Coerver developed a unique coaching program known as the Coerver method to counter these trends with the aim of improving individual technique. Since then, the method has been expanded to cover all aspects of the game suitable for players of all ages and abilities. This series, 1-2-3 Goal, focuses on creating and converting goal chances and comes in 3 parts. Part 1, the foundation, Ballfeeling. Part 2, moves to beat opponents. Part 3, creating and converting goal chances. We begin with the foundation of the Coerver method, Ballfeeling. We start with 5- and 6-year-olds who have just taken up the game, practicing the most basic ball exercises. Each exercise is designed to be within their capabilities, so they experience success and develop confidence as early as possible. Ballfeeling is developed by lots of ball contact. Here they alternately roll the ball back and forward. The boys kick over the ball with the sole of the foot and pull back with the outside of the same foot. The boys alternately kick the ball across the body with the entire sole of the foot and pull it back with the front part of the sole. Rolling the ball left and right with the instep and pulling it back with the sole of the foot. Good balance is important for all players and stressed in these exercises. Alternately pulling the ball back with the sole and pushing it forward with the instep of the same foot. Rolling the ball to the outside with the sole of the foot and tapping it back with the inside of the same foot. alternately pulling the ball across the body with the sole of the foot and pushing it in the opposite direction with the inside of the same foot. Coordination improves steadily. Rolling the ball left and right with the outside of the foot and stopping it with the inside of the same foot. We alternate ball practices with small-sided games like this every 10 minutes or so, as young players find it hard to concentrate on the exercises for much longer. The teams are kept small, so the players have lots of touches on the ball. The players are encouraged to dribble, and attack is emphasized rather than defense. At this age, winning or losing are unimportant. It's crucial above all that practices are fun. The following game clips show the possibilities when players have good ball control. Pele's perfect control enables him to score despite being tightly marked. Didier Six of France, one touch and a goal. Sanchez of Mexico, another gifted player, chest traps perfectly to create a scoring chance. Koolman of Belgium shows how a good first touch gives him more time and space to shoot. The Argentinian team show their good control, resulting in a shot from Maradona. The master in action again. Perfect control. Good first touch, and Maradona beats his opponent before the ball touches the ground. Ball feeling is the first step to good all-round control, which is especially important against the packed defenses of the modern game. Children even as young as these show good control as they tap the ball from foot to foot, moving between cones. The boys tap the ball from foot to foot before changing direction with a step-over fake and turn to take the ball. Now they change direction by stopping the ball with the sole of the foot and turning. The boys change direction by rolling the sole of the foot over the ball, stopping it with the inside of the same foot, then pulling it behind the standing leg. Here they pull the ball back with the sole of the foot and push it with the instep of the same foot, and then change direction. Each player receives a pass from his partner and performs 2 step-over fakes before passing back. These 5- and 6-year-olds will be able to use all their newly acquired skills in small-sided games. 3-on-3 with one player from each team playing goalkeeper in turn. The assignment is to keep possession and score. It's important that the teams are of roughly equal ability so that every player experiences some success with the ball. Without good ball skills, players will be heavily dependent on conditioning and work rate for any success they might later achieve in the game. Vandenberg, complete control of the ball. Van Basten, another Dutch international, shows his ability on the ball. Rolling the ball with the sole of the foot and stopping it with the inside of the opposite foot while walking upfield. Practicing this the length of the field means approximately 100 repetitions for each foot. The speed is gradually increased. Frank Rijgaard uses the sole of his foot to avoid several opponents. Tamaraka and Vandenberg use the sole of the foot, a skill which our 5- and 6-year-olds have already begun practicing. Speed on the ball becomes increasingly important in these exercises. The level of difficulty is adjusted so that players are constantly challenged. An 8-year-old player cuts the ball with the inside of either foot. Pulling the ball back with the sole of the foot and controlling it with the inside of the same foot. Later, this will be developed as a move to beat an opponent. Rolling the sole of the foot over the ball and tapping it back with the inside of the same foot. Again, the better the control, the greater the speed. Pulling the ball back with the sole of the foot and pushing it forward with the instep of the same foot. Alternately pulling the ball across the body with the inside of the foot and stopping it with the inside of the opposite foot. The ball is pulled across the body with the sole of the foot and controlled by rolling the sole of the opposite foot over the ball, then tapping back with the inside of that foot. These different exercises enable us to vary practices and help motivate the young players to practice and discover new combinations for themselves at home. Homework is a cornerstone of the Coerver method. Stepping over the ball from outside to inside and pulling the ball back with the sole of the same foot. The player stops the ball with the sole of his front foot, steps over with that foot, and then pulls the ball through with the instep of his trailing foot, while turning and taking the ball with the inside of the trailing foot in the opposite direction. Turning the ball across the body with the front part of the sole of the foot. As in most of these exercises, ankle, knee, and hip joint flexibility is improved. rolling the sole of the foot over the ball and stopping it with the inside of the same foot while turning and taking the ball with the sole of the other foot. Pull the ball back under the body with the sole of the foot, then pull it with the opposite sole while turning. The ball is pulled with the sole of the foot and stopped with the instep. All exercises in this section can be practiced individually and in groups. These 9-year-olds are pushing the ball across their body with the inside of the foot and pulling it back with the sole. Their confident control is the result of dedicated practice. The player rolls the ball across his body with the instep and pulls it back with the sole of the foot. Another example of fast footwork using the instep and sole of the foot. All these fast footwork exercises make ideal homework, as the player needs only a ball and a small area to work in. Good ball control must be developed before moving on to the next stages of the program. The ball is played with the instep, then turned 180 degrees with the front part of the sole of the foot. Small-sided games are played regularly throughout practice. This ensures variety and fun. Two teams of 3 players, 2 balls. 2 from each team play one-on-one. The third player rests between 2 cones and changes regularly with a teammate without interrupting the game. The game is not yet goal-oriented, and the players are encouraged to play freely. By now they are confident and want to keep the ball, and sometimes forget their teammates are waiting for their turn. The player rolls the ball across his body with the inside of his foot and stops it with the inside of the opposite foot. Players are encouraged to make up their own combinations, which increases their interest and pleasure in working with the ball. The player pulls the ball across his body with the sole of the foot, takes it with the outside of the same foot, then steps over with the opposite foot and repeats the sequence. Another exercise combining foot speed and control. Scissor kicking around the ball and taking it with the outside of the opposite foot while moving upfield. This exercise develops later into a move to beat an opponent. All the fast footwork exercises can be used by players regardless of age as a means of developing better control. The player fakes to take the ball with the outside of his foot and then takes it in the opposite direction with the front part of the inside of that foot and carries the ball with the outside of his opposite foot, changes feet, and repeats. These young players, all under 11, demonstrate the wonderful ball feeling and fast footwork that can be developed through this coaching method. Even at this early age, they have a sure touch with their feet, similar to that of good basketball players with their hands. A 3-on-3 game. One player plays goalkeeper in turn. 11-a-side games for 10-year-olds and under, where the players get few touches of the ball, do little to improve technique. Young players should be playing 3-on-3, 4-on-4, or at most 5-on-5, where winning is not nearly as important as the development of their technique, creativity, and above all, their enjoyment. This first part of the program dealt with skills the young players need to progress to the next stages, which are all game-related attacking skills. The next step in the program is game-related. Basic movements are designed to shield the ball and change direction. Here we see some examples of the practical value of this skill. Cutting the ball across or to the side of the body is a good way of suddenly changing direction, as the French team shows. Goulet cuts the ball into space and away from incoming defenders to get to the end line and cross for his teammate to score. Vandenberg receives a through pass from Cruyff and cuts the ball away from the defender to create space and score. Cruyff cuts the ball with the outside of his foot and passes to Lerby, who scores. Major of Algeria cuts into space before shooting. The Hungarian forward cuts the ball into the penalty area to create a shooting chance. Brazil's Josimar shields and cuts before scoring with a tremendous shot. Jairzinho for Brazil, shielding and cutting past 3 Uruguayan defenders before scoring. The following change of direction and shielding exercises were modeled on some of the world's best players. The player stops the ball with the sole of his foot and after a quick turn takes it in the opposite direction with the outside of the same foot. This movement is especially useful in changing direction quickly. The players practice the movement in two lines, starting slowly, concentrating on the technique, then speeding up as they improve. The group practices the same movement in a circle. Four players with two balls take turns to practice. Acceleration after making the move is stressed. The player stops the ball with the sole of his foot, steps over it, and takes it in the opposite direction with the outside of the other foot. This is a good method for shielding the ball as the attacker has his body and standing leg between the opponent and the ball. The group aims to make a smooth change of direction. Four players alternately use the move to change direction away from the onrushing opponent. Wheel Coerver demonstrates cutting the ball across the body and taking it with the outside of the opposite foot. Five players zigzagging between teammates who lunge towards the ball as the ball carrier approaches. The zigzag formation moves steadily upfield. The player cuts the ball with the outside of his foot and carries the ball in the opposite direction. The players go to the center of the circle and cut back to the perimeter with the same foot. Four couples in a 10-yard square. One player of each pair cuts the ball with the outside of the foot between two opponents who lunge at the ball as the ball carrier approaches. As with all exercises in the program, the defenders initially assist the attackers to succeed. Wheel Coerver cuts the ball with the inside and outside of the same foot. This double movement develops excellent flexibility in the hip, knee, and ankle joints. The group cuts the ball with the inside and outside of the same foot, moving around in a large circle. Three players cut the ball with the inside and outside of the same foot against two defenders defending an imaginary line. The ball carrier cuts the ball past the first defender. then cuts immediately in the opposite direction with the same foot as the second defender challenges. Franz Beckenbauer, the former West German captain who also played for the New York Cosmos and the NASL, was undoubtedly one of the world's most skillful players. He is especially remembered for his ability to cut, shield, and change direction with the ball, and many of the exercises in this section were inspired by his play. The cut with the outside of the foot that Franz Beckenbauer was famous for. The same move in triangles within the square. Two players perform a three-quarter turn with the outside of the foot as they are challenged in the corner. The player makes a three-quarter turn with the inside of his foot and carries the ball to the next corner. Another move often used by Franz Beckenbauer. The same move in triangles within a 10-yard square. Three players shield and change direction against an opponent. After a while, the defender changes roles with one of the attackers. The player rolls his foot over the ball, plays it behind his standing leg, and takes it with the outside of the other foot. One group of 6 players plays the ball behind their standing legs to evade the challenges. After a period, attackers and defenders switch. The player pulls the ball back with the sole of the foot and takes it with the inside of the same foot in the other direction. Two players 3 yards apart practice the move simultaneously. Two players outplay the opponent in a 5-yard square. The player pulls the ball back with the sole of the foot and carries it with the outside of the same foot. The same move to the middle of a 10-yard square. Two players change direction with the outside of the foot as they are challenged by the opponent. All these exercises can be set up for one or many players as these formations show. The player changes direction using the front part of the sole. The same move to the middle of a 10-yard square, and then on to the next corner. Up to 3 couples can be added to the exercise, especially if practice space is limited. 3 players outplay 2 defenders defending imaginary lines. All moves are learned with both feet to give the player the option of going to either side of the opponent. The player changes direction by pulling the ball with the front part of the sole and taking it with the outside of the other foot. The group, starting slowly and speeding up as their control improves. Four players in a square. The 2 ball carriers change direction with the sole while under pressure from the lunging defenders. Elkjar of Denmark changes direction using the sole of the foot. An unexpected change of direction, a tackle, and Butriceno is brought down for a penalty. Conti of Italy cuts the ball behind his standing leg. Passes, Cabrini scores. The great Johan Cruyff of Holland demonstrates the movement which bears his name. The young player practices the Cruyff shield and change of direction as he pulls the ball behind the standing leg with the inside of the foot. This movement can be made even more effective by the addition of the fake shot or pass at the start. The move is used to change direction when challenged. The defenders regularly change places with the attackers. We end this section with Johan Cruyff, whose technique and vision were an outstanding feature of his game. This first section on ball feeling and basic movements has shown how to develop the skills necessary to move on to the next phase on our way to goal. Perhaps the 5- and 6-year-olds we have seen playing will be the stars of tomorrow. Until then, the current masters show how it is done.